Hello, boys and girls. Today, we're going to learn about a Lakota Sioux child named Little Bear. He lived on the Great Plains with his family.
Ah, I remember. His home was wherever his family and their group of relatives placed their teepees.
Yes, Jeff, you are correct. Today in our story, we will learn about Little Bear's preparation of his first hunting trip.
Let's start off by going over some vocabulary. There are 4 words in this story that students might not know unless we tell them the definitions before we read.
I agree. What words are we going to go over?
Well, the words I'd like to go over are finally, horizon, hunting party, and succulent. We are going to use the Frere model to break down and explain the words. Now, we're going to look at this slideshow.
All right, boys and girls. Our first word is finally. After everything else, at the end of the process is what finally means. Using finally in a sentence. First, one washed his hands, then he peeled the banana, and finally, he ate his snack.
Some examples of words that are similar or synonyms to finally are eventually, someday, sometime, and sooner or later. Now, I would like you all at home to use the word finally in a sentence. Turn to a friend or family member and state a sentence using the word finally.
Here's my sentence, Jeff. He shoots, he scores. Finally, he makes the last shot. Our next word, boys and girls, is horizon. Horizon means the place off in the distance where the land appears to meet the sky. Here's horizon in a sentence. When the captain looked at the horizon, he saw the sails of a tall ship appear.
Now, some words that are similar to the word horizon are sky, heavens, and high up. Now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to get up and go on over to the window, if you're near one in your house, and look out and point to the horizon where the sky meets the ground.
That's a beautiful picture of a horizon.
It is.
Okay, our next word, boys and girls, is hunting party. Hunting party means a group of people who gather specifically to find and kill animals for food or sport. Using hunting party in a sentence, the hunting party set off in the early morning hours to find the herd of buffalo.
Some words that are similar to the words hunting party are hunt, shoot, and shooting party. Now, at home, I'd like you to name an animal that people hunt. I'm from Pennsylvania, and a lot of people up there hunt deer. So they could have said deer. Now this here is a photograph of a fox hunt, which happens primarily in England. And this is a picture of a hunt from long ago. This is a picture of a cave drawing from humans long, long ago.
Wow. Our last word, boys and girls, is succulent. Succulent means full of juice. The tomato we picked off the vine in August was succulent and tasty. That was a great sentence.
Some words that are similar to the word succulent are juicy, moist, ripe, and tasty. Now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to provide an antonym for the word succulent. Another word for antonym is opposite. So think of a word that is the opposite of the word succulent.
Maybe it was that dried toast that we had for breakfast in the cafeteria at school. Ugh.
Yeah, they could have absolutely said dry.
But here's a beautiful picture of succulent strawberries. Can't wait for that.
All right. That was a great way to go over and learn more about our vocabulary before our story, Demetrius. Today, we will hear more about the Lakota Sioux and about a young Lakota Sioux boy named Little Bear. Listen carefully as Demetrius reads Little Bear Goes Hunting to find out more about the Lakota Sioux people and about buffalo hunting.
Before we start, I'd like to ask you what animal you see in this image.
Is that a donkey? I'm from up north in the northeast part of the country, so I've never seen one of those before in the wild.
No, silly. They are buffalo. The buffalo travel across the Great Plains in herds or groups.
So, what is the herd of buffalo doing in this image?
Glad you asked, Jeff. They are moving across the plains in search of their food supply, which is grass. They sure could eat a lot of grass. As the buffalo traveled to find their food supply, the Native American tribe who hunted the buffalo followed them.
Wow, that is a lot of great information about the buffalo. Now I am definitely ready to hear you read this story.
Okay, boys and girls, listen carefully. Little Bear Goes Hunting. Little Bear woke up before the sun. Today was a very important day. Now that Little Bear was 10 years old, he would be allowed to hunt the buffalo. Little Bear was not frightened. He was excited, even though a buffalo can weigh as much as 10 grown men. Little Bear was a Lakota Sioux Indian. He lived on the Great Plains with his family. This area, called a plain, was fairly flat and was filled with grass and buffalo. His home was wherever his family and their group of relatives placed their teepees, and that depended on the buffalo. The buffalo lived on the Great Plains too. However, large herds of buffalo moved from place to place. They moved as they grazed on the wild grasses that grow across the wide stretch of land. Because the buffalo was their main food supply, the Lakota Sioux moved with the herds. The buffalo provided Little Bear's people with fresh meat. The meat could also be dried and turned into pemmican. Pemmican could be stored for later use, especially in the cold winter months. In fact, almost every part of the buffalo had a special use for Little Bear's people. The buffalo provided them with warm fur. It was hair used to make rope. Buffalo bones were used to make knives, axes, and hammers. Even toys were made from the bones of a buffalo. Buffalo skin was also used to make teepees, clothing, bedding, and moccasins. Making these things was a job for women and girls. When he was younger, Little Bear had watched his grandmother, mother, sister while they worked. In using the hide of the buffalo to make clothing, it first had to be stretched and scraped. Then it was soaked and dried several times. After that, it was pulled and stretched to make it soft. Finally, it was ready to be cut and sewn into the things Little Bear's people needed. Little Bear's sister had made him his first pair of moccasins, which were made more beautiful with the addition of attractive beading art. Little Bear dressed quickly and then stepped outside of his family teepee. The rising sun was now just a faint glimmer of the horizon. Even without the sun, it was already warm. Little Bear looked around. No one else had woken up yet. He was the only one, and this made the day seem even more important. Little Bear sniffed the air the way his grandfather did. He could not smell rain. He could smell the remains of the fires that had burned the night before. Buffalo meat had been cooked on those fires. Little Bear could still taste the succulent meat. Little Bear made his way to where the horses that chased the buffalo grazed. Today, he would ride his brother's horse when he went hunting. He would also carry a bow and arrow. His father had crafted his bow and arrow for him, though Little Bear had helped to shape the arrow tip. Hunting the buffalo was not easy. These animals could run like the wind. It often took several men to take down one buffalo. Little Bear hoped that he would be brave. He wanted his father to be proud of him, the way he was proud of Little Bear's older brother. Little Bear stroked his brother's horse and whispered to him. He asked the horse to help him catch the buffalo. The horse nuzzled Little Bear as he spoke to him. Little Bear laughed at the horse's mane, tickled his nose. Before long, the sun began to rise. Little Bear noticed the other people had woken up and were emerging from their teepees. He saw his mother begin to breathe life back into the fire. She, along with his sisters, would prepare food for the hunting party. Then it would be time to go. Little Bear made his way back to his teepee. He sat on the ground beside his mother. His mother smiled at him and tousled his hair. "You will be a brave buffalo hunter, just like your brother," Little Bear's mother said to him. Little Bear smiled at his mother. He knew she was wise and kind. He loved her very much. Before long, Little Bear was joined by his grandfather, father, and brother. When all the men were gathered around the fire, Little Bear's mother and sisters served them buffalo stew. It tasted good. Then it was time to go. The men and boys, including Little Bear, mounted their horses. As they rode out of their village, Little Bear looked back at his mother. She was standing by the fire. She smiled at him, and then she put her hand on her heart. "She is telling me I will be a brave hunter," said Little Bear to himself. With that thought in mind, Little Bear smiled at his mother and then galloped off to hunt the buffalo for the very first time.
That was an awesome story. Thank you for reading it. I have a few questions for the students. The first question is, who's the main character in the story? Think about it.
If you said a young Lakota Sioux boy named Little Bear, then you're correct.
Great job, students. Next, I would like to ask you to turn to a friend at home and describe the land where Little Bear and his family live.
Well, Jeff, the Great Plains. That is a land that is mostly flat and contains wild grasses and very few trees. Next, let's ask the students what is the name of the type of house in which Little Bear and his family live?
It is a teepee, right?
Exactly, Jeff. So, do Little Bear and his family keep their teepee in the same place all the time? Or do they pack it up and move it around from place to place?
Well, based off the text, I remember them saying that they move their teepee around from place to place.
Yes, Jeff, you're smart. So, do you remember why do they do that?
Yes, I do. They move the teepee around so that they can follow the buffalo herds.
Good job, Jeff. You were listening and paying attention.
Thanks. You know what? I'm ready for some word work.
Which word would you like to do? Horizon?
Actually, can we do the word succulent?
Of course we can. Okay, boys and girls, our word of the day is succulent. Say the word succulent with us 3 times. Succulent, succulent, succulent.
Remember, boys and girls, succulent is something that is juicy. Usually, a food is succulent.
Now, let's get ready for our word work activity. Look at the pictures of the strawberries. Would you say it would be succulent or not succulent?
Strawberries are juicy, so I would say that they're succulent.
I think so. So we're going to place them right here. They look really juicy. Awesome job, Jeff. Look at our next picture of this juicy red tomato. Is it succulent or not succulent?
Well, it is plump and juicy, therefore I'd say it's succulent.
I think so too. They taste really good in the summertime. Okay, our next picture, Jack, is a picture of some molded cheese. Would you say it would be succulent or not succulent? Boys and girls, why don't you help Jack out? What do you think?
And think about why. Well, I don't think there's anything succulent about moldy cheese. It's not moist, it's not plump, it's probably pretty dry and not very good.
Yes.
Therefore, non-succulent.
And it probably smells bad too. P.U. Okay, boys and girls. Our next picture is a dried piece of toast. Where would you put this picture, students? Succulent or not succulent?
Let's give them a minute. Well, you said it was dry, and if it's dry, then it's not juicy. Therefore, it is not succulent.
Right.
So, if you said not succulent, boys and girls, you are correct.
Yes, and we will put it right here. And our last picture, boys and girls, is a picture of a stale old hamburger bun. Would you say it would be succulent or not succulent?
If you said not succulent, you're correct. Because if it's stale, it's going to be dry. And that's the opposite of succulent.
Wow. Thank you, boys and girls. Now, we would like for you to share with a partner or a friend your 3 succulent items that you found in your house. So take a few minutes and find 3 things that can be succulent. Okay, I hope you found them. Good job, and thank you for sharing your succulent things you found in your house.
Wow, that was fun. Now, let's do a quick writing activity before we finish up for the day.
That's a good idea. What did you have in mind?
let's have the students draw a picture of a teepee that they saw in the story and write one sentence they learned about it.
Okay, so students, we'll give you a few minutes to get a pencil, paper, or crayons, and meet us right back. Okay, boys and girls, take a few minutes and draw a picture of one of the teepees you saw in the story. Take your time and do your best. It's okay if you don't know how to do it. Just try.
All right, students, now, and I'm going to do my own right here. It doesn't have to be perfect.
As long as you try. So far, so good.
Exactly. You have to try.
Ah,
And we have to make sure we have a door to our teepee, an entrance.
yes, we want to be able to get in and out.
Okay.
Awesome job. Okay, students, now we will write a sentence about the type of housing we saw in our story.
So let's think of a sentence. I was going to write the sentence, I saw a teepee. And make sure you write it neatly.
Doing a great job, Jath. Oh, wow. Now, boys and girls, hope you wrote your sentence. Let's see if Mr. Jaff did a great job. Did he start his sentence off with a capital letter? Did you guys do it? Ah, do you have spacing between your words? Mr. Jaff did. And he said he saw a teepee, so he's telling us something, and he used a period. So we know that sentences start with a capital letter and have a punctuation mark at the end. Ah, boys and girls, I think Jaff did a great job with his sentence, and I hope you did too. We really learned a lot today.
Yes, we did. That was a great writing activity describing what type of housing the Lakota Sioux lived in.
Yes, Jaff, we also learned a great deal about Little Bear preparing for his first hunting experience.
Yes, and we were able to use the words horizon, hunting party, and finally in a sentence, and learned what they mean.
Now, your turn to turn to a friend or a family member and share something that you learned today.
Thank you for joining us today. All rights and credits from the lesson belong to Core Knowledge Language Arts. We would like to thank them for publicly sharing these materials.
Use what you learned today. Share some of your knowledge about Native Americans with a friend or family member. Until next time.